more to speak about here, so many other points, but if anyone has, at this point, if anyone has a comment, a question, a correction, chastisement, please feel free. Yes, Prabhu. Oh, there's a microphone. I want to thank Jivananda Prabhu for helping me show the ropes. My last visit to Mayapur was 6 years ago, but my first visit was 1976. By Krishna's mercy, we got to, Radha Damodar party, we got to spend 3 weeks with Srila Prabhupada here, and then 3 weeks with Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan. And Srila Prabhupada gave so many classes, especially about being brahmacharya, and how if we stay brahmacharya, we would save ourselves so much trouble. So of course Prabhupada knew, just like if we're a cook and someone comes in the kitchen, oh, I'd like to help. Well, do you know how to cook? I know something. So if someone's a very accomplished cook, they can see that person and they would immediately know how much that person. So anyway, Srila Prabhupada knew what level of Krishna consciousness we are. He was encouraging us to be. Lord Chaitanya appreciated 2 qualities of his devotees, right? The most. So one was their humility and another was their renunciation. So Srila Prabhupada encouraged us in this same practice, our renunciation, our humility. So that was his kindness on us. Jivananda Prabhu?
I just wanted to add one story. You were talking about the 16 rounds and how Srila Prabhupada placed such an importance upon this. So when Srila Prabhupada went back to India for the first time after being in America to get his health back together, when he arrived back in San Francisco, the first thing he did in the airport was ask the devotees that had become his followers, are you chanting 16 rounds? So he said, Mukunda, are you chanting 16 rounds? He said, oh yes, Srila Prabhupada. And he asked quite a few of the devotees. And then he finally asked this one girl who had just become initiated before Prabhupada left, are you chanting 16 rounds a day? And she said, no, Srila Prabhupada. And she turned bright red. And everyone looked at her. And she goes, actually, I chant more than 16. And Prabhupada said, oh, this is very good.
Thank you. Yes, minimum 16 rounds. No maximum. Very good comment. Anyone else? Yes. Nice to see you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. A few things. One, it was Oppenheimer who quoted the verse about time I am, because he saw they were testing the atom bomb, which he had invented. And when he saw the mushroom, he quoted that verse from Bhagavad Gita.
Wonderful.
Also, the story that you told about the 16 rounds, actually...
My personal?
No, the one you said some girl said she was sleeping 4 hours. I don't know if I was there for exactly the same story with a different person or it was a different story, but Prabhupada came to LA and he asked that question of the mass of devotees, is everyone chanting their 16 rounds? No one responded. And then he said, is anybody not chanting 16 rounds? And still no one responded, although there was like kind of a nervous energy in the temple room. And then he said, is anyone fibbing? Is anyone lying? And then a few hands went up here and there, and he said, somehow or other you have to chant 16 rounds. He said, it's not a very difficult thing. 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, but somehow you must chant 16 rounds. So then he looked to the side and there was a door and there was somebody on a ladder painting in the hallway and he had his hand up. So Prabhupada looked at him and he said, Prabhupada, I'm working very hard to make Krishna's temple beautiful. And Prabhupada said, but you must chant 16 rounds. He said, but I'm only sleeping 4 hours a day. And Prabhupada shot back in 2 seconds, then sleep 2 hours. Mm-hmm. So that's
another statement Srila Prabhupada made, that if we don't finish our 16 rounds somehow in one day, we can finish them the next day. But if we don't finish them the next day, we shouldn't take prasadam until we've finished our 16 rounds. 1976, they were hiring cooks at the time, so the cook put string beans in the sabji, so we all broke Ekadasi. Another emphatic observance that Srila Prabhupada stressed following Ekadasi. So the instruction was, follow Ekadasi the rest of this day, and we'll do it again tomorrow. That was Srila Prabhupada's, what he taught us at that time about it, how important Ekadasi is as well. So all of these practices will help us. Just like this is Chaturmash. So this month we're fasting from Urid, correct? At least that's the minimum that we fast from. So Srila Prabhupada was asked about this type of fast, and he said, it's not like breaking Ekadasi, but we get benefit. We get benefit from these fasts. The first month is spinach. Spinach is what's written in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So they've expanded it to green leafy vegetables. But anyway, spinach is what was written there. The next month is yogurt. Third month is milk. And then this month is Urid. So these are like the minimum. These are the minimum. Srila Prabhupada always gave us the minimum of 16 rounds. Minimum of the 4 regulative principles. The minimum of even fasting. Just like we're fasting from milk, and then some devotees, well, burfi's made from milk. I can't eat burfi. So anyway, I try to explain to them, you can take burfi. It doesn't say burfi, it says milk. But Prabhupada put a lot of emphasis on milk, right? That it's liquid religiosity. So important that everyone take milk every day. Of course, there's some controversy, right, even within our society about milk. So, okay, if the devotees want ahimsa milk, fine, but somehow, by hook or by crook, to take milk it's so important. Prabhupada said it helps us to develop the finer brain tissues for understanding Krishna consciousness, because Krishna consciousness, the practice is very simple, but because we aren't simple, therefore we're very, very challenged. We're very challenged in our Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada liked that when we were newer devotees, we would simply be told something and we would just accept. But now, as we become more mature devotees, we're told something and we say, oh, why should we do that? Or can you show me where Srila Prabhupada said that? I was giving class one time and I explained that at my initiation. Srila Prabhupada was there. He made a statement that we make more advancement in a few days on Sankirtan than the yogis do in meditation for 60,000 of years. So immediately after the class, the devotee said, can you show me where that is? And of course I showed them because I remember my initiation, right? Wow, Prabhupada said that. I don't remember ever hearing that. But anyway, there are these statements Srila Prabhupada. One is, I don't know how many devotees have read Srila Prabhupada's letters. So few devotees have read Srila Prabhupada's letters. So many wonderful instructions in Srila Prabhupada's letters. So that are there. I kind of lost my train of thought. We were speaking about. Challenged. Hare Krishna. But anyway, there's many wonderful instructions in Srila Prabhupada's letters that we may not even find in other places. Of course, Prabhupada said that the main instructions are in his books. We should read his books every day, but the letters are also full of very wonderful. Prabhupada managed his entire society through his letters in the beginning days, right? Prabhupada got a telephone. He was shocked to get it within a few days, and then someone calls him at midnight. Swamiji, how are you? Prabhupada said, this is not the time to inquire from the spiritual master how I am. It's midnight. So Prabhupada had them take the phone out, correct? So, pretty interesting. We're coming from a generation before there were cell phones, before there were computers, right? Try to imagine that. I was at University of Hawaii. started a food truck there for the temple. And one professor there, he said, which one is worse, if you lose your wallet or if you lose your cell phone? Quite a challenging question, at least in the West. Maybe, I'm not sure about here in the East, but if in the West, oh my gosh, if we lose our cell phone, oh my gosh, I have to stop my day. I have to rush to the cell phone store and get another cell phone. Of course, hopefully I'm using all of my cell phone in Krishna service. I'm trying to start one program. I ask all the devotees to please pray for it. Prasadam distribution at UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles. So I went and tried to negotiate with them, and it was a brick wall. Just say it was a brick wall. I asked them even just for one day, 2 hours a week, just one day, 2 hours. Sorry, we can't allow that. Can't allow that. So anyway, we have it in court, and it's coming up very soon. If the devotees could please pray for that, that will be very wonderful preaching. Prabhupada wanted us to go to the universities. The younger people they're more open to learning. Prabhupada in many classes, he told us, stick to Krishna consciousness, keep preaching, you will never know any shortage. I've never known any shortage in Krishna consciousness. And I look at the brahmacharis, in every temple they have cell phones, they have computers, they have cars. I don't think anyone has any shortage in Krishna consciousness. I pray that they don't. But I know my personal example that Krishna has poured his causeless mercy on me in many ways. So this is another program that I personally want to begin in Los Angeles. There's not much support from anywhere else, but Krishna has somehow given me the ability to start this program of prasadam distribution. And if somehow we lose in the court, we'll take that also as Krishna's mercy. But we would like to start this program, and it'll be very successful. Prabhupada told us, keep preaching in the West. In my guesstimation, maybe it's my own vision that America has declined. It's like it used to be that everyone here was from America. 1976, I was sitting in most everyone. There were devotees from Europe as well, but wow, no devotees from Russia or from China. Gosh, I was just in awe and reverence to see devotees from Russia and from China. I stopped in Shanghai on my flight here and tried to give out some literatures. I try to carry literatures. I have some literatures with me now. No one from China would take a book from me. They were a little inquisitive, and I could speak to them about the principles of Krishna consciousness, but they wouldn't take a book. I was like, maybe they're afraid to take a book, try to bring a book into their country. What is that? As Prabhupada entered Moscow, they saw the Bhagavad Gita, right, in a suitcase, and Prabhupada thought, now I'm finished. Prabhupada made that statement. He enlightened the devotees, now I'm finished. They will take me away, and no one will ever know where I am ever again, right? Prabhupada made that statement. But somehow another security came and said, no, it's okay, the Bhagavad Gita is okay. But anyway, preaching. Any other comments or questions? Yes, Mataji?
Prabhuji, I just wanted to know if Prabhupada said anything about Nirjala Ekadasi?
Nirjala Ekadasi. If Prabhupada said, I know Srila Prabhupada made a statement in his room conversation books. It was recorded. They told Srila Prabhupada that today, Prabhupada, you did Nirjala Ekadasi. And Prabhupada replied, oh, I have never done that before. That was Srila Prabhupada's reply. So Prabhupada encouraged fasting. He said, as long as it doesn't interfere with our devotional service. And he used the example of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta would tell his preachers, if you have to, eat grains, but go out and preach. As Srila Prabhupada told, I believe, anyway, one devotee going to Eastern Europe, if there's nothing else to eat meat. Not that Srila Prabhupada was encouraging that, not that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta was encouraging eating grains on Ekadasi, but he was stressing how important it is to preach. So I know paneer sabji is substantial enough to sustain anyone to go out and preach. But anyway, that's just
I had an experience. I was cooking for Srila Prabhupada in Delhi
Wow.
in 1974.
Hare Krishna.
And it was Nityananda's appearance day. And I asked the devotees if I should make him breakfast because it was a fast day. And so they said no. They kind of said it, no, stupid. Why would they, why would Prabhupada eat on a Nityananda's appearance day? So I didn't make breakfast. And then at 9 o'clock, Prabhupada rang his bell. And
Where's
I
my
went,
breakfast?
Prabhupada said, where's my breakfast? Exactly. So I said, well, Prabhupada, it was Nityananda's appearance day. They said would be fasting. And then he looked at me and he wasn't very happy. He said, fruit and milk is also fasting.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Microphone. There's only a few minutes left. This may be the last.
Yeah, there was a conversation between Radharani and Srila Prabhupada. I don't know the exact date, but I'm sure I could find it, where Radharani was talking about chanting more on Ekadasi, and she said something like, I chanted 25 rounds or 32 rounds a day. And Prabhupada said, why not 64? So the idea is to increase whatever we're doing on Ekadasi, and if increasing means stopping eating, then do that. But if you're not increasing due to not eating, then
Hare Krishna. Increase chanting. One last comment?
I just have a question. What did Prabhupada say in general about observing vows in Kartik month? Meaning other than the fasting from Urad Dal, did he say anything else about...
If I understand his question, everyone here his question, what did Prabhupada say about observing the different vows in the Chaturmash? As far as I understand, a devotee did Chaturmash, and Prabhupada was respectful. But in general, Srila Prabhupada understood, especially us from the West, very, very difficult. That's why he building large temples, impressive places like Mayapur here, to attract us, and opulent prasadam as well. So I'm trying to take very minimal, for instance, I try to take just one little piece of sugar every day, very little fried, but that's it's up to our personal inspiration, how we're inspired, and again, it should not interfere with our devotional service. I have a tendency on a fasting day to want to sleep all day. But I know I should not do that. So somehow I'm able to follow the fasting days still. Srila Prabhupada wrote in his diary that today is, I believe it was Lord Chaitanya's appearance day. I was able to fast till 5 p.m. So again, we have to understand our health. We have to understand our different factors. There are many factors involved. But Prabhupada encouraged fasting, encouraged chanting more rounds. But again, we have to engage in our devotional service. There's one of the first temple commanders, Banabhatta Prabhu, many of you know him, Banabhatta. So he explained to me how there was a devotee that wanted to just chant all day. And Banabhatta Prabhu was very frustrated that he couldn't get the devotee to do other services. But Banabhatta Prabhu went to Srila Prabhupada that this devotee just wants to chant all day. And Prabhupada said, that's devotional service. So Prabhupada allowed it. But again, we have to, time, place, circumstance, our different services, we have to take all of these factors into consideration. Wonderful question. I want to thank everyone. Mataji has one last, it's 1 minute after 9. 2 seconds, she says.
Srila Jayapataka Maharaj tells this pastime again and again. He was in the temple chanting extra rounds after the morning program, and he said Srila Prabhupada came in the temple and said, what are you doing? He said, I'm chanting extra rounds. Did you finish 16 rounds? Yes. Okay, get your book bag and get out and distribute books.
Haribo, Shri Krishna Sankirtan ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, ISKCON Mayapur, Chandradoya Mandir ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Again, if anyone wants the blessings of these beads here, please feel welcome to come. touch them to your forehead. Hare Krishna.